The turmoil surrounding my working relationship with the Youngsville City Council, it has caused me to become an ineffective leader and only hurting the good men and women of the department and the citizens of the city of Youngsville by staying.
This resignation comes after multiple allegations against Boudreaux and an ongoing lawsuit that he filed against the Youngsville City Council to stop their investigation of his actions since he took office. Here, I spoke to Mayor Ken Ritter about what's next. He told me they will have to appoint an interim chief of police to replace Boudreaux. He says they will be voting on a recommendation to the City Council on an appointment within the next 20 days to fulfill the responsibility until a special election can be called. Live in Youngsville, Christina Mondragon, KATC TV3. Back to you, Jim and Marcel.
All right, Christina, thanks. Now, Boudreaux's resignation comes one day before a civil service board hearing for a police officer who's appealing his termination after being fired by Chief Boudreaux in May. Justin Ortis was one of the officers who responded to the crash that involved former councilwoman Kayla Rayo last year. Rayo called the police chief to the scene, and despite giving officers conflicting statements about whether she had been drinking and directing expletives at the responding officers, Rayo was let go without a ticket or a sobriety test.
Now, the resignation follows months of allegations surrounding Boudreaux's time as police chief. Some of those allegations are listed here on your screen. The latest being a 19-page complaint filed alleging a, quote, culture of corruption, and that an immediate investigation into Boudreaux is in the public's best interest.
Tonight we have team coverage. We're going to take a look at the issues that led to the mayor to seek treatment, among them PTSD. Our Scott Brazda is standing by with that angle. But first up, the questions about leadership at LCG. Megan Glover joining us live here at LCG with that part of the story. Megan.
Jim, tonight the city and parish councils are reviewing what should happen in the absence of mayor president. Take a look. According to the Home Rule Charter, a member of the council should take over for the mayor president if they are absent from and unavailable to Lafayette Parish for more than 48 hours. Now, we've reached out to LCG for clarity, and we started asking questions. We received a legal opinion from City Parish Attorney Greg Logan. He says special arrangements have been made with the inpatient treatment facility to allow 24-hour access to the mayor president. Logan also says Guillory has a computer and access to the LCG network while in rehab. Logan claims Guillory is able to perform his functions as mayor president remotely and therefore is not unavailable as spelled out in the charter. But again, both councils are reviewing the matter, and we expect them to address the issue in the coming days. Jim, back to you.
All right, Megan, thanks. And again, Guillory says stresses from his time in the military built up over time, leading him to seek treatment. He enlisted in the Army National Guard in 2001 and underwent basic training in 2002. He completed U.S. Airborne School in 2004 and the U.S. Army Officer Basic Course in 2005. That same year, he served as a platoon leader in the U.S. Cavalry during Operation Iraqi Freedom.
I hate him for what he done, and it's going to take me a long time to forgive him, whether he's alive or dead.
Family, friends, neighbors are all coming together to mourn a mother, a daughter, a cousin, and a friend. They mourn Kawana.
A question why is haunting the family of Kawana Felix tonight.
She was the life of the party. Everybody know that. Like, everybody know that. Like, she was, my mama, she was loving. Everybody have their ways, but she was a loving and caring person. Like, literally, anybody could say that. Anybody. That's why it's just not sitting right with me.
Andracia Felix is Kawana's 13-year-old daughter. She tells me she and her 8-year-old sister Anaya were there when their father shot their mother.
We would never think that none of this would happen, and it didn't happen so fast. Like, I really thought it was like a dream because it didn't seem real.
And while law enforcement tell us they can't confirm a motive for the killing at this time, KATC found there had been a history of domestic violence between Kawana and Andres Felix.
She had restraints all on him, she had it all on him, and he would break them all.
Still with Kawana gone, the family says it's up to them now, specifically Mercedes, Kawana's 23-year-old daughter, who you heard speak just a minute ago. They have to take care of 6 children, including grandchildren of Kawana, and make sure that they stay on the right track. And they actually have a GoFundMe set up for assistance of any kind. If you are encouraged to donate or feel the need to donate, you can find the link on our website, KATC.com. For now, live in Lafayette, Taylor Toole, KATC TV3.
And KATC investigates with more on the history of the domestic abuse involving Andrus Felix and Kawana Felix. We found 3 applications for protective orders, like this one with Kawana's own handwriting detailing allegations of that abuse. We also found Andrus Felix faced 2 formal charges. These cases date back as far as 2007, and you can read more about it right now at KATC.com. Now, as for the other scenes, on Turn Noir Street, the 29-year-old man who was shot and killed yesterday morning has been identified as Ross Chasson. Police tell us within an hour of that shooting, they learned Andrus Felix was the suspect. And on Toby Mouton Road in Doosan, the victim shot and killed there has been identified as Paige Lewis. She was 25 years old. Police have not said how these other 2 victims were connected to the suspect, Andrus Felix. Our coverage of this story continues over at KATC.com. There you can read more about the domestic abuse history and find a link to that GoFundMe page as well. Your headlines parish by parish now. We start in Lafayette, where Wayne Griffin will be reinstated at Lafayette Police. Griffin was fired earlier this year amid sexual harassment allegations, which surfaced when he was named interim police chief last fall. Griffin appealed his termination, and today the Civil Service Board decided instead to place Griffin on a 90-day suspension without pay. We'll have more on that hearing coming up in just a moment. But first, just in, we've received a statement from the police officer who reported the sexual harassment allegations against Griffin. An attorney for Bridget Dugas says she was not confident in this investigation from the beginning, and she will now be forced to work in what they call a hostile work environment with Griffin and his supporters. In hiring De La Paz back in 2017, despite disciplinary action he faced previously as a teacher in Arkansas. Now, as I mentioned, De La Paz was hired here in Vermilion Parish in 2017. The administration was aware he was facing a complaint in Arkansas over text messages with a student. A disciplinary hearing in Arkansas was held in 2019 in which the Board of Education ruled those text messages with a student were inappropriate. In those text messages, De La Paz referred to the student as his future girlfriend and told her they needed to keep their relationship a secret and be good actors. De La Paz says the administration here in Vermilion Parish was aware of the case. Tommy Byler was his principal back at North Vermilion at the time. De La Paz says the administration was aware, they were supportive and even mentoring. But today I spoke with the now superintendent who says he didn't know the full context. Do you feel like you were misled?
I feel like if I'd have probably had all of the information out of Arkansas before, I think it would have probably raised a few more red flags. But at the time, when you call the Department of Education and they tell you he would be eligible to teach if he was staying in his school in Arkansas, all I can do is make that recommendation, right, wrong, or indifferent, called my people and say, is he eligible to teach?
STM referred us to the Diocese of Lafayette for a comment. We've yet to hear back, but KATC Investigates did obtain a note that went out to STM parents on this matter. The Chancellor says De La Paz is no longer associated with STM as of yesterday. There are no reports or evidence that STM students were involved. They say De La Paz was safe environment trained, and the school acknowledges that De La Paz did make them aware of an isolated infraction.